This is the Limitless Leadership Lounge, where Coach and Jon learn along with you from some of the world's most decorated leaders. Recently promoted, let's sharpen the saw together.
If you go into any professional sports locker room, there are those teammates that stand out as great team players. Everybody wants to be around them. It doesn't matter so much how talented they are, whether or not they're the best player on the team, but they're still a teammate magnet. And then you have those teammates, even if they are super, super talented, who are the ones that nobody wants to be around. Nobody wants to disturb them. They aren't the ones who are typically, the most popular guys or gals on the team. And that goes for sports locker rooms, businesses, nonprofit teams. If there are people working together on a shared mission, being a teammate is an absolute essential piece of it. And we learn this very early in school, but yet we don't often do a good job of it moving forward. So today, Coach and I are going over the 4 keys to being a better teammate. And Coach, it starts with number 1, which I would argue is the most fundamental. So let's dive into that one.
Yeah, so number 1 is, are you a person of integrity? And we define integrity as a whole. So when I always would challenge my players is that I would always say this statement to them: you are always on stage. But that was a reminder that me as the head coach, I was also on stage. And it's really important that you understand that. And one of the things that I learned, Jon, but it took me a while because I took a lot of knocks on the head before, is that one of the reasons I think I led teams to have successful in seasons and not so much successful postseasons is because I changed my behavior in the postseason. I got too animated, and I didn't control the things that are so essential. So I wasn't living that whole person. I wasn't the same person that I had been during the season. And to take that a step further, are you the same person? In my case, the basketball metaphor, on the court as you are off the court. Just like in business, are you the same person in the boardroom as you are in your house? So I think that's something to really think about. But boy, number 1, to be a great teammate, you got to be a whole person. You got to be the person that people know you when they're with you in the locker room or the boardroom, but also that they can trust you, which is a huge key in teamwork, is they trust you because they know that when you leave the locker room or you leave the boardroom and you go home, that you're still that whole person, a person of integrity.
Integrity builds trust, and that is true on and off the stage. So you're always on stage, even when you're walking to the car in the parking lot, even when you're interacting with the waiter or waitress at the restaurant. Word gets around, so you are always on stage. And one of your things too, Coach, one of your keys to success, I know, is leaving a profit. So if you see that piece of trash out in the parking lot, you're picking it up, leaving a place better than you found it. You're not adding to the trash. You're not littering and throwing the trash. Talk about a poor thing to do, on a stage. You're never off stage when you're a leader. You are always on stage, whether you're actually performing or in those quote unquote off hours. That's a really good point.
Excellent. So Jon, what do we got for number 2?
So number 2, building off the trust foundation, is the concept of we over me. If you're a good team player, you care about what to do that's best for the team. So your time is reduced. Your playing time is reduced, for example, in a sports analogy. But it helps the team for whatever reason. Are you happy about that? Are you gladly accepting that? Or are you complaining and grousing about that? That is the number 1 tell of whether or not you're a team player. You're in a professional situation as part of a business. Maybe you have to take less credit or a lesser role. Are you happy about that because it elevates someone else on the team? Or do you go to your boss and complain about it because it's taking away from your personal credentials? That's the difference between a team player versus a non-team player. And it's really easy to say, I'm a team player, whatever's best for the team. But you really identify whether someone means what they say when that actually happens. And of course, you want a good culture where people are bought into the team mission. And that good culture requires everyone to be we over me.
Well said, John. It's something we really emphasize. And you know what? Let's face it, leaders out there listening, it's easier said than done, but it's something you really got to be emphasizing as a leader is for the people that you're guiding and they're your team players that the emphasis and be a good storyteller. Share what's an example of someone that is a great teammate as opposed to someone that is not a very good teammate. So it's something you got to illustrate and talk about and do it both physically, mentally, spiritually. It's got to be going back to our first key, being a whole, being a person of integrity. And that's, thinking about your teammates. I always think about the service mindset. How can I serve my teammates to make the team better? And if you have that mindset, you are now a we over me guy
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
girl.
You
So,
know what? Yeah. Yeah. You know who's great we over me people were all those players who carried J-Mac off the floor because
yeah,
they passed the ball to J-Mac. So your leading scorer had what, 20 points or something that game?
yeah,
And he passed the ball to J-Mac and he worked hard and played a great game, but he didn't mind the fact that at the end of the game, his name was not mentioned at all. It was all
right.
J-Mac and they were carrying him off the court. So that's a great real life example of we over me.
Well said. Well, which leads us into point number three. And I call this the controllables. And I'm going to break it down into two things because you may say there's more than this, but I know there's two for sure. And that is number one, your attitude, how you respond or react, depending on how you want to define it, in both a positive situation, a negative situation, a neutral situation. And I believe the people that are the best teammates can handle the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so your attitude is, I always tease people, one of my favorite quotes is, attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? So it's something to really think about. If you're going to be a great teammate, you got to be exceptional in things you can control. We used to tell our players there, if we're going to be a great team, we have to be great in the things we can control, which leads to the second piece, and that is your effort, your work ethic. Each day, we used to challenge our players that our work ethic was going to be second to none. Now, we didn't know that, but it's something that we really tried to share each day. And as a leader, you got to be an example of that. If you expect your team to work hard, you better be leading out front by working hard and giving your best effort day in and day out. So effort and attitude are two essentials that we got to focus. If you're going to be a great teammate, you got to be exceptional in controlling the controllables.
And the big piece of controlling the controllables too is eliminating focusing so much on the non-controllables, right? So
Right.
controlling the controllables also means I'm not going to waste my time stressing whether something that is out of my control happens or not. I'm not going to waste my time on the edge of my seat stressing about whether or not that email is going to come back or that project's going to get approved, or in a sports circumstance, whether the shot is going to get the bounce into the hoop or bounce out of the hoop. I'm not going to waste my time and energy on trying to control what I can't control. I'm just going to double down on what I can. And again, that's attitude and effort.
Well said, John. So what's our fourth key?
And then the fourth key in business and in life and athletics is being a problem solver, not a problem creator. So some of the best business people reframe business and the whole concept of business as simply solving problems for your clients or customers. And that's really all it is when it comes down to it, right? Whether you provide a service or whether you provide a product, that's supposed to make life better and solve a problem for someone. I'm going to get a haircut pretty soon, and that's solving the problem of my hair on my head, which is a problem. It's making me really sweaty when I'm exercising, especially in the summer heat. Anything, a doctor, obviously one of the key examples of solving problems, right? Food is solving our problem of hunger. And I could go on and give more examples. So in business, everything's about solving problems. And in daily life, we have those people who, and you probably know them, They are pretty good at pointing out the problems or identifying the problems and occasionally adding to those problems, but they don't do much when it comes to trying to come up with a solution to a problem. So it's a different mindset. Instead of looking for all the problems around us, finding ways to solve them or moving closer to solutions, that makes you a great teammate. Because it's one thing to tell your team, something's bad is going on. I need help. We need to solve this problem. It's another thing to approach your teammate with an idea of, here's one thing we could do to solve this problem. Would you be willing to help me in this problem solving process? And that's the essence of a great teammate, is taking the lead when it comes to problem solving rather than just identifying problems. So be a problem solver, not a problem creator.
Two things I want to say to that, John, because it's so powerful, is number one, I'm big with acronyms, so I always tease leaders that used to be the CPS, the chief problem solver. So you got to embrace that you are overseeing and helping, and then recruiting and bringing the right people on your team that want to provide problems. And one of the bits of advice I give leaders is when you talk to your team members, say, yes, I do want to hear about problems, but I want to hear your input. So when you come in and share a problem with me, give me 2 or 3 ideas on how we can solve this problem. So you're really putting it on your teammates to become problem solvers and not problem creators.
Yeah. And, I'll just add one more thing too. When I used to work in a full-time job employee environment, I used to hear this all the time, and I never hear it anymore, but I used to hear this all the time. Not my problem. Those 3 words you'd hear all the time. Oh, so-and-so didn't deliver this on time. Not my problem. Well, when you're on a team, it is your problem. If it's the team's problem, it is your problem.
Yes.
And you may not be the one directly responsible for the solution, but the problem does impact you in some way or another. So if you become a problem solver, whether or not it is your problem or not, that's when you change from being just an employee who's not really a team player and more worried about yourself to a true team player and a leader who's willing to help others and drive the team forward. And going back to those other keys, being that we over me person of integrity who controls the controllable.
Well said, John. So, but I think that something with taking these ingredients, boy, as a leader, I think you really got to have in your mind, what are the keys to bringing the right people onto your team?
And these 4 keys are really important, and they are things that you can help to identify who's a good team player, because being a teammate is so important. Integrity, that's what builds trust. We over me, controlling what you can control, which is attitude and work ethic, and then being that problem solver. Those 4 things are how you can become a better teammate today. Thanks for listening to the Limitless Leadership Lounge. And if this helped you, or if you think this could help someone else in your life, send it to that teammate of yours who might be a great teammate to help reinforce, or might be a leader that you can send to help them make better decisions when it comes to bringing people on their team. And we'll catch you next time for another conversation for emerging leaders.